Good morning. Is there a life insurance that we can take with us when we leave this world? It's not the one that we left behind us for our relatives. Is there a life insurance like this? Life insurance is money, just money. Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about life insurance. I should call it life, right? Eternal insurance. That's beautiful etiquette. Eternal insurance. The age, we have birth and death. What is human doing in this earth, this planet? You know, if you listen to the majority of people without exceptions, they divert you from reality. Actually, the Creator said it, وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. You know, and if you obey, if you follow most of people on earth, they divert you from reality. Reality is a duty of conscience. We don't like that. Reality is to tell me who I am. I don't want that. Reality is telling me don't to lie, don't simulate, but I don't like that. I like to simulate. You know, to simulate is to pretend to be someone positive, of course, and to carry things positive, of course, which actually I'm not carrying them. I don't have them. I'm totally deprived of them. To dissimulate is to pretend not having those negative things, but I simulate, I pretend to have them. An absence with the fake presence, presence with the fake absence. Anyway, what is the age of the person? There is an absence before the person's birth. He doesn't know. There is an absence. That is something, for him, it's unreal. And there is this is his presence, and there is another absence after his death. There is a segment of time. We don't call it a segment. We call it sempiternity is Latin. We're in Arabic, we say al-azal. Azal is pre-existence, before him, talking about preceding him. And there is a time post-dating him, in other words, after he disappears from this world. What is he doing? As I said, ignorance is always dominating humanity, is always this. What is ignorance? If a person doesn't know what he's doing here, there's nothing more ignorance than this. What he's doing is actually either consuming his age or eternalizing his age. That's what you should understand. He doesn't understand that the age is just a specimen. It's just like a sample of giving you what is going on and how to seize it from this temporal world or terrestrial world into like an eternal world. As I said, he's collecting the time. How do you collect the time? We have an objective time, which is January, December. This time don't have any control over it. It applies on the majority, on everyone's on earth, on the generality. And you have a subjective time, which is the duty of conscience, you individually speaking. Can we attribute a time to an automaton? But by the way, what does it mean, an automaton? The one who is behaving without conscious awareness. His actions are mechanical, his decisions are not his. He's an executant. Can we attribute the time to such a person? No. This person is in a somnambulistic state. No, he's not. You can almost say he's in a comatose state, which is the case of the whole humanity. The only thing is we are asleep. Only thing is there's a difference for a degree of sleep. Sometimes someone is totally sleeping on the bed of phantasmagoria all the time. Another one, he has a reverie. Another one has a dream all the time. People differ, but all of us, we are like this. So the vigilant person, very few. Those people who are really having a psychic presence are very few. Now, as I said, a time preceding a person, post-dating is time, which is after he disappears from this world? It's a very good question. Now, this time that is preceding us, by the time I wake up, it's not at the time of my birth, by the time I start being aware of life, age of puberty, and understand, all I know so far is I am a victim of my parenthood. And then after that, I become smart. What kind of intelligence or smartness is this? I am a product of a culture. And then I'm a product of another kind of nationalism. And then when I enter university, I become very smart intelligence with rigidity, which is the science. You know what I'm saying? By the time they tell you science, independent science from the divinity, that's what it gives you. It shapes you. So, what kind of, if I am transporting a culture, what kind of individual life can I attribute to myself or claim? If I'm transporting habits, traditions, culture, and again, by the time I shape my physiognomy, and then I shape my mind, that will give me a vertigo. If I feel a vertigo, I feel that I'm going to lose my identity. Then I have to maintain it all the time, and I spend all my time preoccupied by shaping the false identity. Got that? Perhaps a lot of people, when they listen to this, they disagree. Listen, we are sharing, by the way. I'm not imposing myself, I'm imposing it on your head, saying sharing. Yeah, sharing, putting some words on the table, like speaking words of wisdom, as the, singers say. And then, if I am transporting this culture in my psyche, it's very strange. When I'm watching a TV, I look at the old time, in ancient time, they show us like, usually people, slaves. The slaves, they carry the king or the queen. Usually they portray them, they say the men of color. And then they say these are slaves. Actually, that's not slavery, by the way. That's totally not slavery. Except if this slave is happy with that. If he's happy, then he's slave. Myself, I'm transporting the same thing. From my previews, I said what was preceding me, I'm transporting that. Nobody, whoever is, whatsoever, can devoid from transporting something from his back, from his preceding time. Now, that's a good question. You're transporting it, and then you disappear from this world. You give it to someone else. You're transporting. Those people, what they call them a man of color, God forbid, these are not slaves. No. They are transporting a queen, because they were under obligation. They chained them. They transport the queen or the king. Well, I'm transporting the same thing. You know what I'm saying? The biggest threat to freedom is when the slave thinks that he is free. Anyway, a person is a subject, cannot help. He is a subject to being either a transmitter or a receptor. Cannot help, cannot. Well, what you see in this world, by the time a person starts being a self-sufficient, self-aggrandizing person, sent with he will be always in a process, in a state of supposedly giving instructions, imposing. It's always his actions, his words, everything is transmitter. He's transmitter, therefore he has to look for a receptor. Then he feels happy. The same thing about bullying. I feel such a pain of inexistence, me for instance, such a pain of inexistence that I have to look for someone, some weaknesses in someone else to prove my existence. If I find someone weak, I intimidate him, I put him down, I devaluate him, then I'm happy, you see? So, as I said, either you are a transmitter or receptor. Receptor, you are really rare to see in this modern world someone to be a receptor. Okay, now, to be either a transmitter or a receptor. Long time ago, when you go to everywhere in the world, the old teaching, despite the difference of religions, you find always people have this tendency to lower themselves, to shrink towards the self. Take a good look at the Japanese people, for instance, when they meet each other, how they bow their head. Muslims, they are against bowing the head to a human being. But supposedly, you're supposed to, respect and having these, Eastern and Chinese is the same thing. They have this kind of, I'm talking about the old school, not today. Japanese women, for instance, when they are in front of their husbands, the way they back up backward. They don't give their back to the husband. Again, today is not like that. Still, some people respect this. Chinese, Indians, when they come to the parents, they go and kiss their feet in front of people. Do whatever you want. This is who I am. But these are all the teaching of shrinking. In essence, today you don't see this because of the influence of the material world. Receptiveness, acceptance, welcoming the world, it's not like that. The world is getting externalized. Instead of having, like you have those forces, centrifugal, centripetal, you know what I'm saying? Everything is from the center towards the external world. Words, and I feel happy. As I said, existence, in fact, is welcoming. You are receptive if you want. You are submissive if you wish to develop your submissiveness. You like it or not. You are submissive. What you are going to simulate, it's up to you. You can simulate anything you want. The principles of reality remain intact. When I say the principles of reality remain intact, you can simulate, you can say, I am God. With just one kind of like a small headache, a small migraine headache, it will get you back to your state of humility, and then you're gonna cry and pray to God. There was an atheist story. It happened, true. He's an atheist. The way he's not an atheist. Well, feel free to be an atheist. The thing is, he's going far to curse. I don't know why you chose God to have him like your enemy, astaghfirullah. That's fine. You don't want to believe God. They say no compulsion in the faith. There's no compulsion. There's no imposing. Everybody is free to whatever you want to believe in. This person, they called him at work. There was a gas explosion. His wife in his apartment, in his house actually, with his 2 kids. You should see in the way he was screaming and calling God. You know what I'm saying? So the principles of reality, they remain intact. We don't wish something to happen to them, but this is how it is. As I said, human being is created to be like this. The only thing is, because of some illusions in his life, because of some fake things that he simulated, he became like a self-sufficient, and then he doesn't want to go to that kind of state. When, in fact, these bowing the head, this kind of thing, is existing inside you. Your soul is doing that. All you have to do, or all you are going to do when you pray, or you are confirming only what is inside you to confirm the conformity. There is a verse in the Quran where God said, you haven't thrown when you threw, but God had thrown. It's weird. وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. When he said this particular event, the way it was revealed, when we speak about, for instance, the cause or the motive of this particular verse, it was revealed because of when was it and why. They call it Sabab al-Nuzul. Sabab al-Nuzul, it has nothing to do. It was just an event, an occasion, or it's something to God wanted it to be because it's God's will to reveal this verse, but it has nothing to do, link 100% to that particular event. For some people, when they see this, they see it. I'm talking about religious people. They see it as concerning this particular event. They don't know this kind of judgment is part of the idolatry of religion, and they ignore that. I'm talking about religious people. They see it, no, it has to do with this, that's it. They don't see it from a different perspective, different angle. How was it? What was the event? What was that God revealed this prophet? When before God, when he asked the Prophet Muhammad to immigrate to Medina, at that night, before that, all people, heroes from different tribes from the Arabian Peninsula, they decided to come to kill him with one sword, all of them. Like this, nobody can seek revenge from his community, which is Quraysh, to seek revenge, whatever. This is what they decided, to kill him. Well, God sent Gabriel to inform him about this. He was there. Story is well known. But anyway, what the thing is, God asked him. At the same moment, somehow they fell asleep. They had a small nap. They were unconscious. Those people, the heroes, they wanted to kill him. You, in your rational mind, that's the occasion I should escape and go and not make any noise. But listen, that's your mind. That's just your segment of time, logic, puisque, donc, ce qui implique, because of such and therefore, and which implies, that's you. You know what God asked him to do? He said, pick up some dust and throw it on these people while they were asleep. Well, my God, I'm going to wake them up. I say something like that. No, the prophet did not argue or would nothing. He did it and he left. So this particular event, I'm talking about this motive or the cause of this particular revealed verse. This is the occasion. But what did he say? He said, after it was revealed, he said, you have not thrown. That's a negation. When you threw, that's an affirmation. But God had thrown. That's a negation. You are centered between two absences, negations that for you. They are in existence, both of them, and you attribute I, capital letter, I did. Actually, God told you, you're not doing anything. What is preceding you? That seems to you as an in-existence. It's a preceded time before you were born. You seem like you don't have any interference in it, of course. After you live, it's a post-date. You won't have any interference in it as well. But during this, what have you generated? How have you exposed your consciousness? To whom did you expose your consciousness? When you say, you haven't thrown when you threw. Pay attention, that's a negation. We say in Arabic, nafi. When you threw, that's ithbat, affirmation. But God has thrown, it's another nafi, ithbat. In life, if you live a life like this, it's not the culture. The culture, your nationalism, your teaching, or what's going on, all of this today is developing an emotion. What is an emotion? This is a very vague explanation in psychology. What is? It's the whole package of an event, which include the taste, odor, smell, and the snapshot, and what you hear, and plus all your sentimental emotions is developed, encoded, archived in your own subconscious. But it was fed, sort of laser sort, by we being receptive to this particular audience. It is developed inside you. It belongs to the audience. You are transporting culture, and then you live a culture. Can you say about yourself that your age, my age, me, I, can you say that? No, that's not true. I was an automaton. I was a transporter. In contrast, being exposed to, you haven't thrown to, that's kind of preceding you to, to the lordship. The emotion that is developed is not extrinsic, is a part of the neuron. When you close your eyes, you'll be inside. I said earlier, the time is outside of us, is inside of us. The time is extrinsic. But if there is an absence, is a time which is due to our automatism. We are not automatons. How can you attribute the time? You are living absences, living Li. You are living absences. Can I attribute myself? I must have to say, attribute this time to myself. No, I live in a somnambulistic state. So as I said, preceding, that's how you welcome Lordship with worship. During a time of worship, during the time of work, during the time of doing something good. Life, you are here to collect consciousness. And in one example, and we wrap up. You're eating an apple. Are you here to eat? That's the more majority. To eat, to enjoy yourself. This is what they say. Actually, these people, due to their, perhaps, unconsciousness, due to their escape from reality. You understand? I'm not going to go far to criticize you when they say it like this. Because the one who is sitting on a table or surrounding a table of intellectualism, he should make an effort to think. Apple, you are eating it. Are you eating or you are consuming? The majority of people, they consume. We are consuming our age. We're not living our age. Apple was not meant for that. How to make it eternal. You see, when you eat it, you finish it, that's it, the apple is gone. You eat it while having a laser coming from where? Coming from nowhere. Who is generating it? You are generating it. Which laser is the tracer of La ilaha illallah? In the name of God. How can I eat in the name of God? It's up to you. I want to eat in the name of the consumer producer system. Go ahead. You ate it. What does the oneness of God generated inside you? What time you referred your time to that was preceding you? That's al-azal, that's to the Creator. That's minus infinity plus infinity, sempiternity from the moment you get the eternity. That apple, that is one. Can you count the numbers? 1, 2, 3, up to where? It's limitedly. When you reach billion, trillions, we say, that's it, we say the absolute. The apple would be from the oneness of God. Will have one shape. No, the shape will differ all the time. What about the taste? If you ate it with like that, the taste will differ from 1 to billions, a trillion taste. There's no taste repeated in paradise, by the way. You smell Organza di Vinci. It's beautiful smell, perfume. When you smell it, you understand in the name of that, you understand generating, releasing, generating, releasing. That's how the transfer is. Shape, taste, odor, smell. You know what I'm saying? What you hear. You are not here to eat the apple. You are here to prepare the taste of the apple. Because when you ate it with your unconsciousness, which is our case, this is an animalistic reference. Animals, they eat like this. That's why God described people, he said, يَأْكُلُونَ كَمَا يَأْكُلُ تَأْكُلُ الْأَنْعَامِ. He said they eat like those kind of animals. This is how human being is. Eating, the taste will be generated according to the numbers existing in this existence, to the absolute taste. The shape, what about the color? How many colors do we know from the apple? I'm just giving an example, by the way, apple. We know the red, there's apple, they're green, ish, maybe yellow-ish to the red. How many? 10, 20 colors you have. Never even they cross your mind. The last words, and we wrap up again, I'm sorry. Jesus Christ, alayhi salam. Why God asked him, when he fashioned the bird with the clay. And this is against the religion, by the way. Do you understand what that means? All the prophets, they were iconoclasts. Iconoclast is to destroy icons. It's against religion. Well, today there is no such a thing. It's existing. Earlier, it was only from polytheists. Today, monotheism is the same thing. Because Jews are doing the same thing. Christians, the same thing, are worse with these idolatries. And the Muslims are following them. Yeah, this is what it is. How they render the status, the static, render the mind static like that, and it goes vice versa. Then they will say, well, we have stress. Did Jesus Christ ﷺ fashion the bird and left it like this? No. He breathed the soul in it and then the bird flew. What is this? Why not a bird? Well, like, there are animals in the Quran a lot. Why was not a cow? Why not a reptile? Reptiles reptiles, they have their characteristics. They crawl, change a color. Why isn't the bird flies? Doesn't stick to the earthy. This is how the soul is navigating. But بِإِذْنِي, when you hear this in Arabic, he said, that was God who instructed him. He said, I did it with God's permission, with God's power, with God's will. When you translate all of these, Jesus was the conscience to receive and to let it go. That's what it is. This is how this is how our actions, if they are fed, this is how they flow. Listen, it's always pleasure. May God open every door of prosperity surrounding you 360 degrees. And I see you soon.